So far in this offseason of OTAs and practice, there's really been one player at the wide receiver position that's really been showing out, and also two more standout players. So, that wide receiver is Kelvin Austin. He's been really gathering some praise recently from both his coaches and his teammates. But first, before I get more into it, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news and updates. Also, like the video. Now, let's get right back into it. So, at this time of the year, in practices, in OTAs, in minicamp, you can't really earn yourself a spot on the roster or kind of upgrade your level of where you're at the depth chart because there's no pads on, because it's not live game action football, or at least offense versus defense. But it is a chance for you to earn a chance. It's a chance for you to earn an opportunity heading into training camp, heading into the preseason, heading into week 1, that earns you at least a chance and opportunity by the coaches seeing your work ethic and seeing what you're putting into the game. And that is what Kelvin Austin is doing. It's an opportunity that Kelvin Austin has earned based off his practice thus far, because Kelvin Austin has been gathering so much praise recently from all of his coaches and his teammates for his work ethic and just what he's doing this offseason in terms of the workouts and practices. So, coming off a strong OTA session, Austin has continued that work into situational football in a loaded first 2 days of Steelers minicamp. And that has earned him a lot of praise, specifically from his coaches and teammates. Here is the Steelers' newest wide receivers coach, Zach Asiani, known for his tough love style, but he praises Kelvin Austin a lot here. Here's a quote. "He's been outstanding. That's a guy that's gone from here to here in the last 8 weeks. It's been really fun to watch. He's a worker. He's insightful. He's urgent. He wants to be coached. You can see it. His game has gone upwards. I'm really excited for his season if he keeps practicing the way he's been practicing." End quote. Now here's Justin Fields on Kelvin Austin as well. "He can create a lot of space in small spaces. He's quick, savage with his route running, and he's just a hard worker. There are some plays where he knows he's not getting the ball, and he's still winning the route. To have a player like that give so much effort on the field every single play is really good to see. I think it's going to rub off on the other guys too." End quotes. So you look at the praise that Kelvin Austin is getting, and he's a forgotten player on this wide receiver depth. Because when you talk about the Steelers' number 2 receivers, I've seen many people say, Kelvin Austin, he's going to be like the 4th receiver in the roster. Hey, he might not even make this final roster in terms of the 53-man roster. He may just have that 1 year with the Steelers last year, and then he gets cut from the team. But that just makes no sense, because he is entering basically his 2nd season with the team. And when have you ever seen the Pittsburgh Steelers just cut someone in year 2, especially a 4th round draft pick? Basically never. They look at a player like Kelvin Austin, and you see, hey, he got injured his 1st year, so last year was his rookie year. This year is his 2nd year in the league. He's going to see some things that he never realized last season. He's going to get more up to game speed. It's going to slow down for him based off last season. Last year was his 1st year, so everything's more quick. He's still learning and developing. You have to take time with a receiver, especially one that was drafted in the 4th round. You can't expect a 1st round receiver and a 4th round receiver to match up in skill sets. But Kelvin Austin is doing everything in his power, everything in his capabilities, practices, everything like that to catch up to speed and develop quickly. And that's what the Pittsburgh Steelers need. You see people label Roman Wilson as a number 2 receiver right away. You see people label Van Jefferson, who was the 4th, 5th, barely even played with Atlanta Falcons, as a 2nd receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You see people label Quez Watkins, who's coming in, as a speedy receiver, someone who basically has the same skill set as Kelvin Austin, as someone who's 100% going to make this depth chart, who barely even played in Philadelphia. You see all these people get labeled ahead of Kelvin Austin, and it seems like Kelvin Austin is being forgot about. But he has been the standout receiver thus far in practices, and he's someone who is turning heads within the locker room in terms of the coach, the wide receiver coach, and also a quarterback, Justin Fields. So if he continues to do this, like Asiani said, he really is excited for the Pittsburgh Steelers' Kelvin Austin this season in terms of if he keeps doing what he's doing, he really can have a great season and maybe be the number 2 wide receiver the Pittsburgh Steelers need him to be. But the number 2 receiver position, it gets talked about a lot. Will the Steelers trade for one? Will they sign for one? Well, Arthur Smith, Steelers offense coordinator, he talked about it this week in his media availability. I believe it was like 2 days ago or something. And he basically ignored the question. He bounced around from it. He was basically asked who's the number 2 receiver, and he says he loves the depth on this team. And someone steps up every single year, whether it be a rookie stepping up, whether it be a guy given more opportunity steps up as a number 2 guy, or just someone unexpected. That's what he said. He basically bounced around the question, didn't label someone specifically, other than George Pickens as a number 1. He basically said someone is going to step up as number 2. And it could be an unknown guy or someone you never thought of. And Kelvin Austin can be that guy. So, Kelvin Austin, he's been turning heads in OTAs and has been turning heads in minicamp so far with the Pittsburgh Steelers in the offseason program. But there's also been some other players who've been standout players thus far, and one of them being safety Nate Meadors. So, Nate Meadors is a safety who spent last season with the Cleveland Browns and spent time with the Minnesota Vikings as well, and he learned under Harrison Smith. But Meadors, he is a physically imposing player. He looks like a big safety, and he made some splash plays this far in the Pittsburgh Steelers OTAs and minicamp, because Meadors, he took what would have been a pick 6 back during a goal line drill. And in the last week of practices, he amounted to at least reportedly 5 pass breakups. And he has great range and length in terms of what he's showing at the safety position. And he's someone who's really turning heads as well as someone who can cover tight ends and slot receivers due to his background as a cornerback. He used to be a cornerback. Now he transitioned to safety because he is a bigger type of player, and he's been making some splash plays with the Pittsburgh Steelers in practice. So when you think of Meadors, he's not someone who you would think would make the 53-man roster. But if he's showing out right now in OTAs, like I said, you won't earn your spot in OTAs and minicamp, but it'll at least give you an opportunity, and it'll have coaches at least thinking to play you more during the preseason to show what you could do, or give you more opportunities in training camp with maybe the second team to show you what you could do. And Nate Meadors, he's someone who may be given more opportunity based off what he's put in thus far during OTAs and minicamp. So Nate Meadors, even if he just ends up as a practice squad player, he's really showing out right now, and he's trying to earn a spot in this league. And he's been turning heads and making an impact in practice. So he's another guy. One other person to go through is Beanie Bishop Jr., because he's been turning heads as well. It's a little bit different because Beanie Bishop is actually working only in coverage thus far, and he's not really working as a blitzer, in which he really does well because he is a physical blitzer. But you really can't touch anyone in this practice and pads still not being on, so you can't really show that. So he's really only showing coverage skills, but he still had some really good days. And he's a player who's doing an excellent job embracing his role on this defense. He's someone who the Pittsburgh Steelers have at the slot cornerback position. He's one of 2 guys alongside Cameron Sutton, so he has a good chance of making this roster if he earns his spot. And that's what he's trying to do, and that's what he's done this far. He's really been turning heads in terms of practice, being a disruptor across the field, but he's the guy standing out as well on this defense, alongside Nate Meadors. But on offense, it's really been Kelvin Austin. So the Pittsburgh Steelers have 3 standouts, and those are the 3 guys. I'm sure there's other players playing well in practice. I could go through the list. Des Fitzpatrick, he's also having a really good practice and really good OTA session as well. And he's really not been slotted as someone to make this team. He didn't make this team last year, but given opportunity, who knows? He's been really standing out as well. But these are the guys for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Hopefully one of them emerges and makes this team even better and actually impacts the team in a huge way instead of just being a practice type of player. But These are the Pittsburgh Steelers coaches had to say about Kelvin Austin, what Justin Fields had to say about Kelvin Austin, and the standout players. And let me know your thoughts down in the comments below on each of these 3 players. And Kelvin Austin, do you believe he could be the number 2 receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers? And do you think he's a forgotten wide receiver on this team? Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news and updates, just like this, giving you updates at OTAs, minicamp, and practices, and just covering every breaking news that happens in terms of signings, trades, and everything like that. Highlights from practice, training camp coming around the corner soon, covering all, reactions, analysis. So, like the video, turn on notifications, and I'll see you guys all later. Until the next one, I'm out. Peace.